What's BS? It says my stream was deleted on Facebook. That's all right. Our other three accounts are still on there. And we have this embedded on manyresults.com/webinar, which the one stream failure is almost like the entire case in point of this entire presentation, which is assume that the worst is going to happen from a tech standpoint, because it will. Redundancy is key. Own your own domain, own all of your own ecosystem to the extent that you can, and don't rely on other people's platforms. Well, that's the entire presentation. Thanks for listening. But in all seriousness, this is our not impromptu. We had it planned, but it's everything you wish your agency had set up and maybe still should. I don't say it like this to be arrogant, because we are certainly not the biggest marketing agency or ad agency in the world, not by a long shot. However, it's something I'm passionate about because I do have a background in tech, literally working in an IT department. And, pretty much everything that we use in marketing tech still falls back on those principles of redundancy, or tech that should be set up properly, and where stuff fails. And, Amanda, you know this, before you even joined the marketing agency near you team, I was a freelancer and, just was building WordPress sites myself and, doing some ad hoc work for clients. And, most of the early work was, hey, somebody built this and they disappeared. Can you fix it for me? Sure. Why not? And I don't mind being a problem solver. That's why I got into marketing anyway. Hi, Missy. I hope Missy can hear us.
Oh, okay. Hi, I can hear you now.
Hi. Okay.
Before, that's the first thing I heard.
This is why I got into marketing anyway, was to fix some problems, help people out. But when you fix the same problem over and over and over again, you're kind of like, well, there should be a system in place to prevent this from happening, or to fix it before it, nip it in the bud before it takes up too much of your time. Because we all want to, just help our clients get more clients. And having a faulty website, having email that breaks, spam that comes in, this tool goes down, that tool wasn't set up properly, I didn't back up this, where are the leads going when they actually come in? All of those are very, very basic level problems that systemized solutions absolutely solve. And we can get on our day and, do more, solve bigger problems, and create more opportunities for our clients. None of which has to do with solving the initial problem. So again, the clients we onboard almost every single week, whoever they were working with before, or they didn't have it set up properly themselves, which is fine. You don't know what you don't know until you know it. And that's what we're here for. We're not just marketers ourselves, but we're consumers. We are buyers. We get marketed too. So therefore, I want to see clearer messaging and a better connection between me and what I need solved. So here's a little speed run on how to do that from the tech implementation. What we're going over is by no means exhaustive. It's the common denominator of what we do for our clients, because different industries with regulations and rules and laws, there's different sort of tech parameters and requirements that have to be followed, especially in financial and the health industries. So this kind of glosses all over that, but it still talks very heavily about redundancy and backups, which is the most basic part of any of it. So let's dig in. A little background on. I said this is me, looking way finer than I am in my hoodie. It's a snow day in the great Philadelphia designated marketing area, so we're all just working from home in our sweats. Dan Jones, founder of Marketing Agency Near You, and the host of the Minding Our Business and Fire Your Boss podcasts. And I am joined here by Amanda, who is our operations manager, and who has a background in clinical behavior and psychology, which makes her a far better marketer than most of the gurus you see on YouTube who talk about one tool fixes. And she's been doing it the least out of all of us, as far as time's concerned. And then we've got Missy, who is our project manager and our brand manager, who has 11 years in real estate marketing now at this point.
Yeah, that sounds good.
That sounds great. And as a real estate investor myself, I use the principles and strategies that she created many, many, many years ago. And we are marketing agency near you, a creative branding performance. We blend branding and performance marketing, two disciplines that are traditionally separated because a lot of creatives want to do brand work with no regard to the outcome. And then performance marketers are outcome in the moment, never really thinking about the future, the data impact, or the why somebody buys in the first place, which comes back to branding and psychology. So we just connect them. Now we have offers that resonate with people and data-driven feedback in order to make optimizations and smarter marketing decisions. And here's our fantastic team, half of which are shown with their animals. And well, how do we stand out and niche down and connect better and grow faster? Well, yeah, there's a lot of marketing agencies out there. And the barrier to marketing, to start any business, especially a digital business, an online virtual business, has never been lower, which is great. I actually love that there are fewer and fewer barriers to allow people to do what pleases them, to create value, give value, and create growth, and make money. That's what this is all about. Otherwise, why even do it? So with that ease of access comes a lot of misinformation. So we operate transparently. We're marketers, but we're consumers. So we always operate from a client first positioning. And that means our clients' clients. We have a saying around here, which is the market doesn't care about your feelings. And that rings true for us and our clients' clients, who are actually the market, who are actually, they're the boss. They're the shot callers of all of this. So yeah, business owners, you may think you know best, but your clients actually know best. And that is the truth. And that's the truth we will stand by. Some of the clients we've been able to help along the way, past, present, and, well, I guess future if we still work with them. This was the first quote, Missy, I saw you put in there, which was, most devs talk about code. Devs being developers. We talk about conversions, carbon, and backups. That's a lot going on there. So the conversions are obviously the leads and sales. The backups, that's the stuff that happens when systems goes down. The carbon. I'm going to put you on the spot, Missy. Where did that come from?
I think it's really speaking to like carbon copies and always making sure that you have a backup and then you have a backup of your backup's backup. Basically.
So
save your words.
This is the old IT terminology when it talks about backups and redundancy. One is none, because once it fails, you're done. And two is one. So if you have two backups, you really only have one. If you have one iteration, you got no backups. You got one is none, which I also say when I'm drinking beers. So when someone's like, how many beers did you have? Well, I had 2 beers because 2 is 1. And 1 is none. So if I only had 1 beer, it's like I didn't have any beer at all.
Sure, we'll go with that.
That's it. You can isolate that one. So who this is for? This is for the other agencies who I want to see do better. And I still can't even like reiterate enough. It's not meant to put myself on a pedestal. I have friends who run other agencies and freelance businesses doing similar to what we do with WordPress, with CRM build outs, with automations, with advertising, but with very specific types of clients and industries that, you know, we collaborate on. We give each other referrals for who we're better suited for. Us here, we're better suited for businesses that are in the regulated industries for lead generation. Long story short, we don't really mess with e-commerce. We got peoples for that. We got referrals for that. But really, this is just educational, so we can make sure that there is a A basic framework for quality data redundancy in marketing technologies. Problems we see every single time is the leaky funnel. People have a great, well-designed website, maybe even some advertising on, we'll say YouTube and Instagram. Of course, if you're running on IG or running on Facebook, we'll say YouTube, Instagram, and Facebook. Great video ads. But what's happening to them? What's happening when people go from the video to your landing page? Where are they going? Are they getting emailed? Is there notifications? What's going on there? Unless an end-to-end process has been built, typically nobody knows. And then, breakdowns and issues, and where do you even start to find them? So the tech stack that we came up with, it's very basic. We use WordPress for our website builds. We use now Go High Level for CRMs. If a client doesn't have one, that's the first one we're going to recommend. CRMs are a dime a dozen. I've worked with plenty. They're typically only as good as the work you put into it, the information, the data that's in there, and how you use it. Otherwise, I'm pretty agnostic. I've used Zoho, Salesforce, Monday. We were even using Notion as a CRM internally for a time being. Not optimal, but it works. It's better to have any than none. It's the opposite of one is none. One is good. Anything is better than nothing when it comes to having a CRM and some sort of lead follow-up. Place where you got your names, phone numbers, email addresses, way to contact people. We were using Brevo for a while, which is part of the tech stack we still use. Awesome for email marketing. Okay as a CRM. Simple pipeline stages, new lead all the way to close, but it wasn't really ever meant to be a CRM. So we just see breakdowns, through and through. And usually a finger can be pointed at one piece or one pillar of the marketing, and not as a whole. So, if things are slow, the SEO people will try to sell you SEO services. The email marketers will try to tell you got to do more email marketing. Social media people say, go hire an influencer. Paid media will tell you spend more on ads. But the truth is, none of it works well unless it all works well together, which is where we come in. We, as a branding and performance marketing agency, we do all of this. Because it's 2026 and because of AI, because of cheap offshore work, the combination of the two, when you do have a quality product, it's not good enough to just be good at any one piece of this. It has to all flow together. And that's basic omnipresence. Full funnel, full stack marketing. So our stack overview, and sorry, Missy, I was teeing you up when I was talking about carbon. I was talking about the green data center.
Oh, okay.
So when we set up our tech stack, it's set up in a way where there's analytics and fallbacks on data, lead management, every step of the way. Why do we do this? One, because of attribution tracking. A lot of times, last touch, basically last lead source that comes in for a lead gets all the credit for the best efficacy in marketing. Oh, it was a Google ad, so that means Google ad is all that there is. Well, no, we know now the 7x11x4 rule, which means, and Google came up with this, I didn't, that somebody has to see your brand 7 times, interact with it for 11 minutes over 4 channels being mediums, whether it's Google, Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, YouTube, mail, live presentation, phone call. That's a lot of touch points that no one ecosystem can serve up. So we follow that rule. And we put content out there and create more touch points in a more economical and cost per mil and pretty much every vanity metric standard along the way. So that way we can use a market mix modeling and make educated decisions on which pieces, whether it's upper funnel or lower funnel, are working at a given time without having to put a whole wrench in the operation or do any sort of guesswork. And we do it with our green website. Where's my pointer? Our green website data center. It's true. We do use Brown Rice Internet, which is a really dope New Mexico-based data center or virtual server provider. They are 100% clean energy, and that it's about 50% renewables and solar, and then they have the credits that act as the other part. So it's not 100% self-sustaining, but because of the combination of the energy credits, solar, and other green energy, they do get to boast, and so do any of our clients, that you have a certified green website. Mm-hmm. And if nothing else, it just shows that you care a little bit. Everybody's got something to say about data centers popping up and the amount of water that it's being used, but yet we're all still here using AI. So unless we're all ready to quit AI, then we have to be mindful of this stuff. So we're going to show you our actual stack, the purpose behind the components, and the connections between. All of this has been living in my head and carefully procured over the past 15 years to the scalable system we have now, where we can onboard a client in a matter of minutes to hours by replicating the infrastructure and then filling in the copy, the assets, the offer, the funnels, where more time needs to be spent on anyway. None of us want to spend time on spinning up a brand new custom website. And that kind of goes back to the first slide Missy put together about developers talking about custom code. Custom code's way better than any sort of WordPress website because it's custom. All right, well, that's not a value proposition for a client, because it doesn't, having custom code and 100% custom, handcrafted, modeled from clay website tells me nothing about how we get leads into your funnel. Tells me nothing about what you can do for your clients, for your avatar, for your ideal customer. Tells me nothing about it. All it tells me is that you care more about crafting a thing for the reason of crafting it, which is fine, I guess, but we're in this to make money and serve clients, not to, not to have bragging rights over something that really doesn't have any meaning. I'll go back to WordPress. It's not the only website builder out there, but it's the most prolific. It's powering like 40% of the internet, including government websites and large businesses, because it's been around for 1.5 million years. It is stable when deployed properly. And it's like having a building. A building has building codes. You do not deviate from said building codes. Otherwise, you're running the risk of having things fall apart. So, yeah, we use WordPress and a very, very lean and structured stack. We use GeneratePress, the block builder. We don't even use a page builder anymore unless we've got some clients who are still using them, because it's more stable and it's leaner and it will scale better into the future. And I don't have to worry about whether it's going to break or not. What I'm worried about is what are we putting in between these four walls that is going to be appealing to our clients and therefore their clients. Worrying about the bigger things. Then will it work? I know it's going to work. Brown Rice Hosting, that's our Linux VPSs, virtual private servers. Cloudflare, that is our firewall. Firewall number 1. All-in-one security, firewall number 2. All right, why do we need both of those? Because of spam and click fraud. We couple that with the reCAPTCHA, which is down here, to make sure that robots are, we can't be 100%. We try, but they're not clicking. And why this is important is, sure, can you just ignore spam? Absolutely. But when we're talking about paid advertising, we send data back to the platforms. Every lead that's converted, we send back to the platform saying, good lead, find more of these. Bad lead, we send through and say, don't send us more of these. Too much spam that gets through, end to end, only tells the platform, send me more of that. The platforms, your Google ads, your Facebook ads, your TikTok, your Microsoft ads if you're using that network, anything native, their goals, business owner, marketer are never going to be the same as yours. They care about spending ad money. That's about it. And don't let any rep that comes on and try to have a meeting with you tell you otherwise. Managed WP and brown rice itself, we use for backups. So we back up our sites twice a day over 3 different platforms, and we actually give our clients the ability to set up a WordPress backup onto their own like email and Google Drive, just as peace of mind that it's theirs. Even though we serve clients, we do the hosting, I want every client to know that that data is theirs, and it's modular. It can go, if they decide to part ways, it is free to go with them. And then, that's one of the guarantees and one of the values that we offer. Then on the lead side, ultimately, do we have some sort of CRM like Go High Level, or anything? Brevo, Salesforce, Monday. Let's just keep naming CRMs here. I'm sending leads from Gravity Forms to Go High Level. Go High Level typically would handle that first automation and send a notification out, but I have Gravity Forms do it as well, because I would rather be over notified on any particular lead coming in than ever miss one. And it's going to happen. Whether something goes to spam, we use Brevo SMTP to try to make sure it doesn't, or whether Zapier fails to fire. 4 different steps. Because then we also track the leads in Google Sheets. Helps us find out where anything absolutely went wrong. Data, Google Analytics, Google Search Console. Those have both been around for 1 million years. Google Search Console is like SEO 101 to figure out how people are getting to your site, how to index your site, and finding different ways to come up with content on your site to get people there. SEO, especially with AI and generative engine optimization, and automated answer engines are, that's beyond the scope of this discussion right here, because that is constantly changing. But as of right now, Search Console still shows you how people, marketing agency near you, got to your site, chiropractor near me, anything, real estate agent near me, how they got to you. Google Analytics, that that tells us where the traffic's coming from, how many leads we're getting, another lead count, whether traffic is organic, whether it is from paid media, whether it's from referrals, external websites, backlinks, and it's a particular framework that Google Analytics 4 uses in there called UTMs. We love them. If you ever see, if you're clicking on Facebook or something, you see a question mark and a long trail of stuff called a URL parameter. That's some tagging that we use on the back ends to figure out where traffic's coming from. It's standardized. It's called UTM, Urchin Tracking Module. That's what Google calls it. I don't know why. It's called an Urchin. It's kind of cool. But that allows us to make insights on, what campaigns are performing better at different stages. Microsoft Clarity. That is a heat mapping and screen recording tool for your website. Totally free. It's 100% free. So that way, you have to put a disclaimer on there, like with your cookie pop-up, but you can see what people are doing when they actually get on your site. Maybe you think you got this best funnel ever. It's an offer that's too good to refuse. Or as Alex Hormozzi says, it's an offer that you would feel stupid to not take. His words, not mine, but it is true. Why aren't people clicking on it? Let's follow them around and find out. What are they doing when they get on this site? Do we have too much stuff? Are they clicking away, going to different pages, or are they bouncing, right? And based on this, we can make insights and changes to, take a look at where the optimizations can be made. I'm missing one on here. I'm missing Google Tag Manager. That's one for, aggregating all of your different pixels and data tracking in one particular place without having to have, your Facebook pixel code goes here, your TikTok code goes there, your analytics code. Tag Manager lets us put it all there and then get into some deeper server-side analytics with Cappy. A little more advanced talk, but we're talking server-side tracking instead of client-side when we start getting into that. Looker Studio, another Google product that it's free to use. See a few people doing it until we spin it up, is a way to display all this in a meaningful way. So yeah, I can demonstrate all the traffic, make all these nice charts within Looker Studio, which we do. I got to figure out how to shrink this window and pull up a live example. And then even embed stuff like our lead sheets right in there. So our customers always have a place to go. If they don't know where to find something, it's typically there. And just we talk about the design stack a little bit to make it a little more interesting, so it's not all techie. Yeah, we use the stuff Canva Pro and Adobe Illustrator. Well, Colleen uses that. I don't. She's more advanced than I am. CapCut, Envato, typical stuff. Zoom, Google Workspace. I don't particularly use Office too much, but we have it. We're paying for it, so we might as well use it. And believe it or not, WhatsApp. We use WhatsApp instead of Slack because we use Notion for our task and project management and all official team communications. But WhatsApp turns out is perfectly viable for international encrypted communications on a small team. Done. Free. Worry about other stuff. And then Notion for our project management. So I'm going to go through, I already said the why of WordPress, right? Because it's open source, which means, yeah, we do have a lot of custom code in there, but we're using our particular stack that we created. We know all these plugins work well together. There is no question of that. And if there ever is, by golly, we have a test server that we test everything on first before it ever gets deployed to a client. Which is something that every agency should have. Because if you already have the ecosystem, guess what? It's already free. I have no problem incurring costs when it makes sense. This one's totally free. And can't stress enough, WordPress is portable. So when you own WordPress site, when you have that site, you have the data, you have the database, you're not locked in with, and I've been with these people for years. God, this is so slow. Must be a snow day. Brown Rice Internet. Been with them for years. Have zero plans on leaving them. But my point is, no vendor can ever have a total lock on you when you set things up modularly like this. We can take all 120 of them sites that we're hosting, and it'll be a massive pain in the ass, but we could move them to a different host. And from our client's perspective, nothing changes. From the customer's perspective, nothing changes. Why? Because we have everything separated out. WordPress lives on the web host. DNS lives on its own ecosystem. DNS is where you have all your IPs and stuff. What points to the website, what points to your email, what points to your subdomains. That's all in your DNS. And then the registrar, which is the .com itself, GoDaddy, right? Name silo we use here. Doesn't really matter which one. My philosophy is to keep all three separated. One, because you never deal with vendor lock. And it's enticing. It's enticing to have all three on your registrar. GoDaddy makes it very easy. Oh, we'll just go ahead and click here and buy your WordPress hosting here and go ahead and buy your email here and go ahead and we'll host your DNS here. I am a big fan of convenience. I'm also a big fan of not having all your eggs in one basket. And when you have an issue with GoDaddy, it could be the domain. It could be the DNS. It could be the web host itself, the web server. It could be the email. Which is it? I don't know. I got to go digging in there. When I know there's a particular issue, like when we had a small server blip last week, Cloudflare told us. oh, you know what? That one server's down. The other ones are fine. And there's zero guesswork. We know where to go. We don't have to go to the registrar. I know my email's working just fine. I know my email's working great. It's just that one particular web host. And when the web server went like this, they unplugged one and plugged one back into the other. Everything went fine. And we knew without even breaking a sweat.
Yeah, I
Just
contacted you
Cloudflare
to
go
say,
down once in a
"Oh my
while.
goodness, everything's down," and you were like, it's okay. Here's what the problem is, and within an hour it was back up.
Yeah, I think the provider knew even before we did.
Yeah, they did.
Cloudflare goes down, right? But it's up 99.9% of the time, which is good enough for me and good enough for everybody else, because that's only 45 minutes a month, and it's usually not that impactful. What Cloudflare does in the meantime is block all of that junk traffic. We know there's certain countries that are out there sending a lot of junk traffic to us. We block it there. We block ranges of IP addresses that we find are bad. Cloudflare has built into their web application firewall. How it actually works is now beyond me at this point. I care about the outcomes, so I do feel safer having it there. It also allows us where if this web host is down for any meaningful time, depending on the scope of web infrastructure a client may have, we do have a backup, and we can point that DNS to the backup replication site. Typically, you only see that in large enterprise setups, banks, anybody who needs that ecosystem to be on 24/7. But it is prepped to do so. So I talked about the redundancy. First of all, nobody can hold you hostage. The security. It's got some caching too. So if, like we did see last week, if a server goes down, Cloudflare will show us a cached version of the site. So at least there's still some presence up there. All right, email infrastructure, dovetailing right off of DNS. This is a great one where, because you don't know until you know. All right. A couple years ago, well, I mean, still technically you can. I know people who grab a whole list of people's names they've been collecting, emails they've been collecting for a few years, and send them all a nice BCC as a newsletter from their Gmail account. So that way no other person can see the other recipients. Does it work? I mean, technically, yes. But you have no deliverability guarantee. One is because the big email providers, being, at this point, Google, Microsoft, Proton Mail, even Yahoo, people still use that, are requiring certain technological parameters be satisfied before you do mass mail sending. And one, they want it to be coming from a domain, so at manyresults.com, or even better, mail.manyresults.com, and having certain reputation management and deliverability in place. You do that with certain records. Do I have that on here? I don't have the records on there. DNS records that verify the domain you're sending from is in fact you. Because it's very easy using SMTP, which is how you send emails without an email box, from anybody at anybody.com. Now, until a couple years ago, it was a little more sus. You'd be able, you'd see stuff in your inbox like fake PayPal invoices, and the Geek Squad was a great one. All sorts of fake Geek Squad invoices because it looked like it came from that sender. Alas, it does not. So the big email providers put on these requirements that your domain has to match your sender, and it does this with some verification codes inside DNS, in our case, Cloudflare, all managed in one place. So we have no deliverability issues. That's transactional email. The preferred way to set that up, not required, but have a subdomain, mail.manyresults.com. Or if we're using Go High Level, the out-of-the-box solution they usually tell you is do lc.manyresults.com. Doesn't matter. LC means lead connector. That's the parent company that powers Go High Level. Doesn't matter. something.yourdomain.com, have those records in place, create a redirect, if you will, from mail.manyresults.com back to your main domain. And this is when I check, because I get cold emails all the time, and I like to see if the agency actually did their homework and due diligence and actually check off some boxes. Is I'll go to the domain of whoever the email was, and half the time it just shows like a cannot resolve, like there's nothing there. So if you are using a vanity email domain, make sure it forwards back to your to your previous one, which can be done at the DNS or the registrar level. So yeah, the deliverability is pretty important, but the sender reputation, that is the agreed upon, and there's some technological standards for this. Your domain kind of has a status, an authority status when it comes to reputation. And out of the box, it's kind of like a credit score. You're kind of a zero, a credit zero, and you have to warm up an account before you can start sending, mass emails, which is a whole other discipline in and of itself. But you want your main domain to always be highly available, to be highly authoritative, especially with client communications, because you use your main domain typically to handle your info at or your hello at as your primary customer service. You want to make sure that lands in the inbox every time. If you're doing mass marketing from one or more of them, you're going to run the risk of that stuff landing in promo when you need to be right into the inbox. Let me clear this up a little bit, because I was talking about gravity forms a lot. That's a plugin within WordPress. It's a form builder. That's all it is. Sounds pretty reductionist, right? But it's the most powerful one out there. We have a couple extensions for it. That probably cost us about $1,100 a year for Gravity Forms Elite. Gravity Wiz Connect. This allows us to connect Gravity Forms to pretty much anything, including AI, ChatGPT, Google APIs for maps, autocompletes, all this good stuff, where it's more powerful than I don't know, like what a couple of like Google Forms. All right, Google Forms is fine if you got nothing, but it's basic and there's only so much you can do with it. So we also can put custom fields in there so we can see where this traffic is coming from. So I match up what's coming in on Gravity Forms against what Google Analytics is showing. And does that match up with what Facebook ads is telling me? And Facebook ads loves to show double, triple attribution on your lead generation. They love to count conversions multiple times to show you, oh yeah, we're doing so well. Let's keep spending money here. Well, no, I can look on the forms list and see where the conversions actually came from. Yes, it's last touch, but of course it's a check and balance against any one particular system, which they benefit from not being completely upfront with you. Gravity Forms allows us to do some cool stuff too, like partial lead capture. Very effective in any type of business which would use a property address, where if you have an address, real estate, we have some insurance people using it. If you have the address, you now have a way to get contact information through skip tracing. Can you use that information in automated marketing? No, but if you have a pretty strong follow-up and sales process, you can make a couple phone calls and, capture a lead without having to pay for extra leads. We see about 5 to 10% lift on this with anybody who's got a strong sales process and a decent skip tracing software, which most real estate people already have. It's not terribly expensive to go out and buy skip tracing either if it's something you need. Very particular, very specialized industries for that, though. Clarity. I did touch on clarity, more of a why. Clarity combined with A/B testing. Now, A/B testing is basically just changing one or two small things on any piece of the advertising, whether it's on the landing page, whether it's in the ad, the graphic, the copy, and testing one against the other. One will always win, mostly. mostly always wins, and it's usually pretty clear, and then it's clear as to why. I love reading the studies of like these huge brands with their unlimited resources that say, yeah, we changed our the color of the call to action button to orange, and increased our conversions by 20%. Damn Skippy, how would you have found out if you didn't try it? The other question sometimes is, what do I A/B test? Well, that's what traditionally would have taken, a group of people sitting around a table going over analytics and figuring out what's next based on best practices, findings, focus groups. Well, we can do it live using Microsoft Clarity because we have heat mappings and see what people are ignoring or what they're clicking on. Double down on what's working, eliminate that which is not. We made a plugin for WordPress to create two different versions of a landing page. We coded it with ChatGPT. Those plugins exist out there, but they either cost money, which again, I don't have a problem paying money for something that's useful, or is extremely bloated for our use case. All I want to see is I want to send somebody to a landing page, and I want that landing page to split into two without having to change my ad to a new URL. Because every time I do that, I'm sending my ad back into a learning phase. And I don't want to do that every time I'm testing. That's a different type of test. I just want to see what's going on over here. Well, now I can run two live versions of my landing page at any given time on a single campaign URL and go, oh, wow, that one's 75% and this one's 25. We're going to go ahead and kill this one for now and come up with a new A/B test, but we know we're running with this one. And we made that plugin using ChatGPT and PHP code because I was bored one day and not feeling well. Speaking of ChatGPT, how nice of you to show up, ChatGPT slide. Data sets are everything. And this is where we get back into more of the branding and the qualitative aspect of marketing and not just the tech, but the tech's very important. This is where we're no longer having to sit and think about breaking down analytics, breaking down why. Because within our databases on our side, this is a representative of our stuff in Notion, which we use for project management. We have frameworks. We have marketing frameworks we use both for branding, for offer creation, for niche stacking, for various industries. We combine that with customers' brands kit, customers' knowledge base, different types of platform targeting, and then Google Trends. And we dump a bunch of data into ChatGPT, usually in the form of analytics, in the form of ad recaps, and tell it, hey, this is what we know. What are we missing? What are the gaps? What else could possibly be happening? Well, I know that because I'm tapped into Google Trends now, and it just snowed 20 some inches in the Philadelphia area, there are some brands whose searches and clicks are probably down today, and some who are probably way up. Anything that is typically research-driven lead generation will actually go up on snow days. Anything that is local, hyper-local, is going to go down. Generalities, of course, but this is where it might tell us that, especially if we're working with a brand or a client who's not in our immediate geographic area, and there's things going on I may not know about. About 1 year ago, this month, the Philadelphia Eagles, go Birds, they won the Super Bowl, and all high ticket sale lead generation was kind of in the pooper that week because nobody gave two shits. If you had an emergency that had to be dealt with, you were getting leads. Or if you're an emergency service provider, you're getting leads. If you're selling high ticket coaching, you weren't getting as many leads that week. To us in this area, it was pretty apparent, but that's the type of gap that a branded bot armed with proper knowledge is going to find out by feeding it all the data that we've now been collecting. Consensually, I may add. This is all first-party data. So there are zero, as long as you flash the cookie consent on your page, you're doing just fine by this. And this is the 2x2x2 framework on advertising. Kill the losers, double down on winners. And this is how we're, we'll use this works out very well, especially in meta ads, where typically you can do a video ad or a static graphic ad, 2 different hooks, and then 2 different landing pages. Combine them, now you got 8 iterations. The data along the way tells us which ones to go forth with and which ones to kill. How do we connect it all? Via Zapier. Anything that doesn't have a native integration from one to the other with an API, we are pretty much like 99% we can connect one thing to the other with Zapier. Or if you're, using a competitor, make.com is a good one, N8N. There's a few different ways of connecting apps to apps. Again, I don't really care. As long as you're doing something. Maybe you're, I still am going to say WordPress over Webflow, only because Webflow is proprietary. But let's say you're building everything out in, dare I even say Squarespace and Zoho CRM. You're still going to want to connect them using Zapier or something and having some data capture in between. And notifications every step of the way. Always be overkill with notifications instead of the opposite. Here's what's cool about Go High Level, which took me a long time to really warm up to. But I really only did once I realized I can use other tools and tech that we are combining together with it. Specifically using transactional email processing, using my account from Brevo. That's what powers my Go High Level accounts. We still do all of our WordPress on the front end. I am experimenting with Go High Level's WordPress hosting. So far, it hasn't let me down, but I don't have any sort of centralized management of that besides the Go High Level account itself. And that's something where a vendor can hold it hostage, and I'm not down with that philosophically. Now, having something like Go High Level or any other type of CRM allows you to create a single landing page that you can use as a fallback should something be going on with another PC or system, like backup.manyresults.com. It doesn't matter who you are. We can set it up so you got one single landing page, which is kind of like your oh crap, but we're still alive. And that way you can still do business, and it acts like a hot spare that we call in the IT industry. Swap it out. How the hell do we keep track of all this? Project management tools. I went back too far. Project management tools. Notion. We've been on Notion for about 2 years now. This is one where after using Asana, after using Trello, after using Monday, all very good for various project management and task management. I wanted a wiki. And since it is database driven, it clicked with me real fast. And hopefully everybody else too. But it is our living body of knowledge. Everything goes in there. There is no SOP too small, both client-facing or internal, that is not good enough to go into Notion. Why? Because we only scale when it's written down. 2, once we solve a problem, it's now part of our knowledge base, and we don't have to solve that problem again, which I really like doing, because doing the same thing twice really irritates me, and I'd rather move on to some other creative solution than fix the same problem twice. So all works because it's modular, it stays documented, everything's redundant. When one layer changes, your entire system is still there. Parts come and go, parts get swapped out. We know this right now. We're getting rid of one social media management tool for another, and there will be zero downtime in between. Because we own it. We own the process, we own the data. And even to an extent where we don't own the platform, we're still able to capture data from it, and we own the brand and the offer. And that's the most important thing. It can come and go. It can go from platform to platform. I'm going to go to comments. They're flooding in. They're not.
So, like, if you had to sum up, because this is a lot, and I think the tech stack can be a challenge for like, I'm thinking of like small business owners, right? Who like are really good at their thing, but maybe tech isn't part of their wheelhouse or whatever. But as a small business owner, you have to know what you're talking about, at least enough to hire somebody and know that they're doing right by you. So like if you had to say like pick like the top few things that like you would recommend a small business owner to really understand and grasp what's going on in your tech stack, like what would you say?
Know where the hell their domain was purchased, where their website is hosted, first of all, and have access to that. Know where your domain's hosted and have access to your website no matter what.
I've actually spent time searching through files for someone's answers to those questions. So yeah, can co-sign on that one.
Those are the two most important. And we will reluctantly hold a domain for somebody. We're usually begging them when we're starting a brand new project with a new domain is to buy it themselves and always hold on to it. Just to show that, we practice what we preach here. We're transparent. I don't really want to, we'll buy it and charge it back to them, but I'd rather you just own it because it's a more secure position for you. So that's the most important. Then, have your email separate as well. And put it on auto bill. Put the domain on auto bill.
Can we look at the slide again that has everything listed out?
Yes. This one?
I feel like it might be, yeah. Yep, that's the one. It looks like a lot, but a lot of the stuff hold hands nicely with each other. So at least
yes, thanks to good old Zapier. Like lead notifications isn't really like Zapier does that for us. Gravity Forms does that for us, and it uses Brevo's SMTP to trigger that message. And like Go High Level's got its own this is almost like a representation of what workflows look like a Zapier within its own ecosystem for automations, different triggers that will cause an event to do something else, fire off this sequence, change a tag, email customer, text customer, change a status to this, wait 6 months, follow-up task.
Do you think people need to be building their tech stack as they build their business? Or do you think there's a level that a business would get to then that would trigger all right, time to start getting it together? Do you know what I mean?
The time was yesterday. The second best time is now. It's going to depend on what they have internal and outsourced. So if they're paying somebody to handle their website, then you know what, let them keep doing that. But make sure you at least have access to your Google Analytics, to your Google Search Console. You may not have or need access to Gravity Forms or Zapier. Just be aware of these things. Because if you're no longer with that agency, you may need your own instance of that. But you already have your domain and possibly your website. If you take it somewhere else, you're going to have to figure out where your emails are coming from. And since a lot of this stuff is free, everything on this side's free. Well, besides Go High Level. But if you're already paying for a CRM, then you've got conversion tracking in there. But the rest of this stuff is free to set up. And, business owners should have insight on that. Now, maybe their agency is sending them regular reports. We got away from sending monthly reports, and rather we just have live dashboards for this stuff, which is no, you can go check it out whenever you want. And on our monthly call, we'll go over it because AI and all these tools have rendered the vanity reports useless, in my opinion.
How
Now it's like
common is
a
this?
baseline of, okay, well, you got 100 leads this month because our paid ads are dialed in. I could give two craps about your organic traffic at this point. Now, if organic traffic swelled and we got leads from it, then cool. How did we get there? Was it because of a content marketing effort? Was it because there was a networking event? Was there a swell in bad traffic? We can use it to make those determinations. But, sending traffic reports for the sake of just tracking it, it's dead in my opinion. Is this what I get for embedding the stream on our website? Because I don't think you can comment from that page. You have to be on one of the platforms.
Mm-hmm.
Well, listen, in full transparency, this is why I did it, is because anybody who landed on our landing page now has is now on Microsoft Clarity, and we can send them a nice follow-up ad that says, "Thank you for watching." So that's all I got. I want to leave everybody with, the free offer we always have, which is our AI marketing plan. The 12 simple questions this form will ask you. Gravity forms, by the way, with OpenAI and Google Sheets and a connection to Zapier. And it'll generate a PDF for you that shows you the next 5 things you can do to, DIY your own marketing. Totally free. Hand built with the stack we just talked about.
And it really will tell you, it'll tell you to DIY stuff. It's not going to say, just call us, because you can call us. We have the answers, but there's also so much you can do on your own before you have
It is. Yes, thank you for saying that, because there's some stuff we don't even want to do, especially when you know how to do it yourself.
We empower our clients. You got
this. You can post on your own social media, I promise.
Actually better that way.
Yeah. Let us run the ads. Well, that's it. I'm going to end this stream and put my neck brace back on and have another happy snow day. Thank you, everybody, for watching. And if you want a recording of this, go ahead and text us at 215-201-2201, and we'll make sure you get a copy of it.